New oil filter, bolts for the crankcase. I don't know why they send them new bolts. Instructions. The other part is the crankcase gasket. So, and bottom seal for the output shaft. It's just basically instructions on how to remove the gasket and how to clean the surface, making sure that the surfaces are flat within 5/1000 of an inch using a feeler gauge, cleaning the threads, clean the crankshaft area, place a new gasket over the dowel pins, lubricate the crankshaft journal with fresh oil, install the new bolts. Do not reuse original bolts, okay? These have some kind of little red sealant or lubrication, I'm not sure which, or maybe it's a thread locker. And then it's got a torque setting, 325 inch-pounds. And then install the oil pump as shown in the repair manual. So I'll have to figure that one out. Okay, let's get started. That's a long bolt. I've got that long bolt out of here. Now I have this, and that's fixed to the crankshaft because this is an electric clutch, magnetic clutch, and that's free spinning. So this and this are directly attached, and I'm not sure how to get that off. I'm just going to try to work it off. Okay, it's keyed onto the, well, that's moving, okay. Okay, that's the, that part needs to come off of there somehow. This. So this is the reason that the gasket was leaking. The actual gasket that I took off here was inside the motor. So that's why that's leaking like bad as it was. Should be a simple matter then to take a putty knife and peel that off of there. Clean up the other side of the cover here. Make sure it's all right. It's like none of the gasket stuck onto it. Just make sure it's clean, no remnants. Oh, there's a little bit there. And yeah, put the new gasket on, reassemble it with the new bolts. Well, that went on, but not without trouble. This flat edge here should have been chamfered or something, but it's a square edge. I had trouble getting the seal to go on over it. Took a couple of tries. There's a spring on the inside, a tensioning spring on the inside of the seal that kept coming out because it was folding back. There's this little spring right here. This is the old seal. And that spring there kept wanting to, the seal was coming out and the spring kept coming out. So I had to take a couple of tries. I don't know if that seal is still good, but I'm going to forge ahead with it. I just put the spring on just like that. So there's no tightening sequence. I think I just go opposite like you do. Here and then here and then here and then here. Just work around. Well, the seals that go around the intake inlet ports here, they just fit onto these machine surfaces. And that's good. Trouble is, I didn't think I had to replace them, but when I started trying to clean them up, they're awful cracked up. And, you know, I'll just work them going through. Probably just, I should replace them. So I will. These are just O-rings. They're not, these are flat. So I'm just going to use what I have. And because this is an elastomer seal, it crushes into this gap. That's all I'm going to use. And as long as it makes a nice tight seal, that's all that matters. So this filter is all messed up, but I'm going to blow it out and stick it on there just to keep things out of the intake, just as a plug. So, 3 bolts left over. Wonder where they go. Well, without a doubt, this has got to be the filthiest machine I've ever worked on. I don't remember anything worse that I've worked on. It's all to do with the amount of oil that had been leaking for a long time. And then the nature of the work it did, it was full of dust, it just collected and collected. It's coming off, I've probably pulled off 4 gallons of just oily dirt. Anyways, I'm just going to do a little bit of cleanup here and tell you what I've done so far. If anyone's taking an interest in this, they probably would have noticed that I'd forgotten to put the fuel tank in. So that meant I had to take the motor out, which wasn't bad, 4 bolts and not a lot else I had connected. And then put the fuel tank in, and it straps down all right. And then continue with all the bracketry and the cables and such. Because of that, I got distracted, and I didn't film all the work. You know, some of you might not be interested anyway, but it's a good thing, because basically I had to do it a couple times, because, you know, I forget to put things in place, or I forget where they go, and I'm trying to fiddling around trying to figure out where they went, because my memory ain't where it used to be. But I think I've got it. I've actually had this running now. But I've got the fuel filter off, because for some reason, I never made a list of all the things that I would need. I knew I needed gaskets and seals and all that stuff, but no, when I come up to the point of actually putting them in, then I go to town and order them. That's kind of backwards. Anyways, this will be in later today, the air filter. And I don't really need that just for a test run in here anyways. But the battery, surprisingly, after having sat for at least a year outside, connected, I expected it to be toast, but no, that battery came up good. It's a good, strong battery. Lucky. Oil's where it needs to be. There's some bracketry in the back, and I'll show you what that does in a minute. And then just wires. One of the first things I fixed was the power here to the starter motor. The bolt there was seized up. I couldn't get it off, so I just ended up cutting the cable, and I put a new end on it. Not a big deal. The other thing was putting these cables into place in the correct order and making sure that they pull in separate directions. Okay, so let's show you what those are. So these 2 cables here, one of them's the choke, one of them's the throttle, but there's no direct throttle control. It goes into this device, which is a governor, part of a governor. And there's connected to this gizmo, which connects to the back. This part here, which is the actual, there's a thing on the inside of the motor that controls this lever. The actual throttle is this part here, which is connected to the lever. Now, the other one, choke, easy enough to figure out. You pull it, it chokes on, chokes off. But the fussy thing about this thing, you can just see I've painted a line right there. Now that is going to the lever which goes to inside the machine. There's it's a little flinger governor. It causes the lever to go up and down. Anyways, you can see how much I'm moving it there. Maybe a degree, 2 degrees. Well, if you turn that clockwise all the way, the motor pretty much just idles and you can't do anything to make it rev up. If you go the other way, just like 1 or 2 or 3 degrees, this thing's full blast on full RPM. And man, if there's another adjustment, I don't know where it is. But yeah, it took several tries to get this thing to idle down to a decent idling speed and then actually have it speed up so that it would work to work the mower, but then not going full blast, valves bouncing, all that going on. It's loud to run this right now because I don't have the muffler on. The muffler is in the way of this, and I wanted this to be on the sawhorses yet while I'm working on it. So it's a bit loud. I'm just running it for a little bit. But let me start it up here. I'm quite proud of myself. It actually goes. One of the pistons has better compression than the other one, and anyways, it gets stuck. I don't think the motor, for some reason, can't turn it around. It always stops, it seems, on that one strong piston. And I've got to get it over center so that it will turn the motor around and then start. Still got to work on that a bit, but we're working on it. So for the rest of the day, I've got the on order for today. I've got the other parts I need to work on the drive, hydraulic drive on this side. It's just a seal. I'm not going to do a lot of work on that one. It was working fine. Like I say, the machine drove great. It ran okay. For as much mud was stuck in the cooling fins of the motor, I don't know how it didn't burn out. And it might be why one of the pistons is weak. But you see, it doesn't smoke. So maybe I burned out a valve, or it's on its way out. It was cheap enough. It'll work long enough. And the good part of it is I know how to get it apart now. So there you go. I think it's going to be a good mower. But anyway, so I'm going to continue on with the other drive shaft now.